Okay, let's look at question number 6. Relative to an origin O, the position vectors, that means from O, from 0, of points A and B are given. That's why it's OA, OB. So just for the interesting, the coordinate points will also, because it's from O, it will be 3, 3, 6. Okay. The point P lies on AB such that AP is, okay, so they talk about AB and they talk about AP, and then find the coordinates of P. Now again, I want to take you first back to the question, to the textbook. Now it's vectors, okay, so you can see it's vectors, and I want you to take you to this question, and I will show you. I have a few. Okay, let's go first to this question. It's chapter 5, and it's actually a very basic thing, but I'm just taking you to this. It's writing these displacement vectors in terms of position vectors. So it's, if I want to say that AB, can you remember? AB. Then it was actually OA and OB. But to change that around, we made it a negative. And then, but the short way, how we always say it, is if we want to get AB, it's the second one, position vector, minus the first one. Okay, because we changed the direction around. So it's the second one, because remember vectors works like this. Because it's the placement, I must just start at the same point and end at the same point. So that's why it's going to be from there to there, from there to there. And I'm changing this around. And I just wanted to show you that. Very basic, and I think all of you can do this. This is really very basic of basics of vectors. But let's just go. And then I'll take you, as soon as I come to a point, I'll take you back to the textbook. So let's just do that. Let's start with this one by saying, okay, I'm first going to get AB. So if I get AB, the vector AB, now can you remember the short way? It's the second one minus the first one, position vector. Okay, now the second one, it's going to be, keep it in the same form. So if this was in column, keep it in column. So 1, 5, 2, don't make it base vectors, minus OA, so 3, 3, 6. And if I subtract this, it's 1 minus 3, so this is going to be negative 2. 5 minus 3, this is going to be 2. And 2, and this is going to be negative 4. Okay, and that's AB. Now, I must also get AP. Okay, so now remember, they said AP, they helped me. They say AP is 3 over, it's 1.5 of AB. Okay, so let's just, this is a scalar, so it's 3 over 2. Okay, sure. And I have AB. There is AB. Always name your things, especially in vectors, because if you have to look up, it must be named very correctly. So don't just do this and not giving it a name, the vector's name. Okay, so it's 2, negative 4. And if I multiply that in, okay, I'm just going to, my lines is not good now. So, but if I multiply this one times this, I'm going to get negative 3. This one times this, I'm going to get 3. And this one times this, I'm going to just multiply, and I'm going to get negative 6. Okay, so this is my vector AP. Okay, but now I must find, and I want to take you again back to the textbook. So if I take you back to the textbook, I'm going to take you to, let's just see, the second part I want to take you. And this is this one. And I'll show you now why I'm taking this one. Okay. Okay, so you will find this example on page 242 in the Namibian AS-Level Mathematics textbook, y equals mx+c. Okay, I want to take you to this one because they say the vectors AB, and then they give you A. the coordinate point. But remember what I said to you. If this is A, then the coordinate, now this is not just in terms of base vectors, but it's fine. So if OA would have been, let's just write it like this, -3, 3, 3. Do you see? I can, because it's the coordinate, OA is that. The reason why I'm taking you to this one, so first write it as you know it. AB, the second one, minus the first one. Are you with me? And now I want to find the point B. So make that the subject of the formula. Okay, so basically I'm leaving B on this side and I'm taking just that over. And if this one, it's OA. Are you with me? That is what I showed you there. And then I'm just working it out. And as soon as I have the position vector, I can write down the coordinate. Okay, so keep that in mind when you go now back to the question. Let's just get that question. Okay, so if I'm going to AP, okay, now I have AP. Now let's write it down. I have AP in terms of position. So it's the second one, OP, in terms of position vectors, minus OA. And then I rearrange it. Okay, so I want to make this the subject of the formula. So I'm going to say, okay, to get OP, it's just going to be AP plus OA. Okay. So to get that OP, and I'm going to just swap the sides. I think you can follow me. So AP, so what is AP? I have AP. That's -3, 3, -6. And what is OA? Okay, let's just go, where is OA? OA, I just want to move it a little bit. There is OA. Okay, so OA, there it was, is 3, 3, 6. And if I simplify this, it's -3 plus 3, and that's 0. 3 plus 3, and that's 6. And -6, and that's 0 again. But remember, that is in terms of a vector. It's not in terms of a coordinate. So I can end up by saying, therefore, they want the point P. And as I said, because it's a position, you can just put it like this. Just in a row with commas in between. And that will be point P. So it was also really not difficult. So again, I think they will give you for if you find AB, they will find if you find AP, and then getting this but putting it back in or putting it into a coordinate, you will get that. Okay, and that's how you do it. And now this question, and usually learners struggle a little bit with this showing. They know, okay, perpendicular, 0, scalar product. But let me take you again just to the textbook, refreshing your memory. So let's just see, that was question 6b. And I just want to show you this. Okay, so when two vectors are perpendicular or right angles, then this will be, the angle will be 90, and this cos 90 is 0, 0, you follow? And that's reason why the scalar product will be 0. So if the scalar product is 0, the angle will be 90 degrees. Okay, so it can be handled in a way to find where the vectors are right. When two vectors are their scalar product is 0. The reverse is also when two scalar products is 0, the two vectors are perpendicular. Okay, so with that in your mind, let's go back to the question. Okay, so here is the question. Okay, let's just make it bigger. Show that AP, so I think let's just write it down. So let's AP, and let's write down the vector. And that will be -3, 3 and -6. I'm just taking it from the top. And OB, that will be 1, 5, 2. Okay, now I'm going to find the scalar product. So just find the scalar product between that two. Okay. And how do we find scalar product? It's just multiplying the same positions. So it's negative 3 times 1 plus 3 times 5 plus negative 6 times 2. And if you multiply, it's negative 3 plus 15 minus 12, and that is 0. But don't just stop there. Show. So end with something like this. If the scalar product is 0, then AP is perpendicular to OB. Something like that. So end with a sentence showing that statement that I showed in the textbook. And that's how you do vectors. Let's look at question number 7. The diagram shows a metal plate made by fixed together two pieces, OBC, the shaded, and ODEA, the unshaded. The piece OBC is a minor sector of a circle with center O and radius 2r. Very important, 2r. The piece ODEA is a major sector of a circle with center O and radius just r. Angle OAD is that alpha. Okay, now I think it could have been a little bit because they just actually helped you by shading the one and didn't shade the other one. But remember, this is one piece. Always look at the writing. The diagram shows a metal plate. So the metal plate is actually this whole thing. It's just two different parts. Okay. Now, let's first simplify your answer. Find in terms of this the perimeter of the metal plate. Now, I just, because this is actually very straightforward, it's just because it's in terms of pi and r, it can be a bit more challenging. But I just want to take you again to the formulas. I can take you to the textbook, but I think I'm just going to take you to the formula sheet. And I think on the formula sheet, okay, let me first go to the textbook and then I'll show you on the formula sheet also. Okay, so in the textbook, you will find this in the textbook on page, and I'm just making a bit, 144, but I'll show you on the formula sheet also. It's basically the length of an arc, so to get the distance around, it's r times the angle, okay, theta, where theta is in radians, very, very important, okay. And so basically, and maybe I'll just show you this example. It's going to help you because there's values in. So find the length of the minor arc. Okay, so remember the minor is the small one. So I basically just substitute. If the radius is 4 and I just substitute. But if I want the major, and that is now the length, that means that part of the circumference, then I remember that it's 2. Remember that's 2 pi. Around the center, it's 360, but in terms of radians, it's 2 pi. So then I will say 2 pi minus pi over 5. Remember that was pi. Now, because both is a pi, I can simplify it to that. And then I can just substitute. So that was for me very important that you pick up that part. And then I can show you another page, maybe just in terms of the area. I'm going to show you both because one is for the A and one is for B. But if I look here, so this is area. And again, that was in degrees, but this is in radians. So again, I think just remember the formula, and it's actually half r squared pi. Okay, so I can just substitute angle of the major sector. Okay, again, so don't forget to first find the angle and then half and then square the pi and just multiply with the angle. Okay, keep that in mind. Then I want to take you to the formula sheet. I just want to see, I think it will be on page 1, because I want you to really notice that there's a formula sheet to help you. And if you see here, can I just show you on the formula sheet? they are also showing you, there's the length or a part of the circumference there, and it must be in radians. And there is the area. Can you see? There is the formula, and it must also be in radians. Okay, so just take note, it will be on the formula sheet. But let's go back to the question. Now, the difficulty was, I think, in this question that it was in terms of A and B and not in values, and that make it sometimes. So, question 7. The diagram shows a metal plate made by fixed together two pieces. OBC, the shaded, and ODEA, the unshaded. The piece OBC is minor sector of a circle with center O and radius 2r. The piece ODEA is a major sector of a circle with center O and radius r. Angle AOD is alpha radians. Now, remember, and I think this maybe people didn't understand, this is one piece. They just shade and unshade to help you maybe if you calculate or to write down, not to get confused. But it's actually one piece. It's just made out of two different parts. Okay, so let's start. Simplify your answer. Find in terms of alpha, pi, and r the perimeter of the metal plate. Now, don't forget that perimeter is the distance around the figure. So that will be the perimeter. And that's what we are going to find at the end, the total, until you come there. But to do that, we have to break it up. So let's start by first finding that arc length. Okay. Now, as you can remember, and I think here the shaded and the unshaded will help you. So let's say unshaded. And we are looking, okay, now, but before we start, this I'm just working in the unshaded. Let's first find the angle. Now, I showed you that around the point is 2 pi, and that is alpha. So if I want that angle, it will be 2 pi minus alpha. Okay, so the angle, and that angle of the measure is 2 pi minus alpha. Okay, so I'm working in the unshaded, and I'm going to say the arc length. Okay, and now don't forget your formula that I showed you. And remember, I just want to show you here, I'm at the major, you see, the bigger part, the major sector. And that will be r pi, okay, r theta. So that will be r, and now don't forget your angle, so that's the angle. So it's 2 pi minus alpha. Okay, so I have that part now. Now I'm just going to change the colors to help me. Now I'm going to find this part. So let's call this the shaded. And I'm going to find, okay, again I have the angle, so it's all right. So I'm going to say the arc length and now it's the minor, you see? But very important, look at the radius. The radius in this case is not just r, it's 2r. Okay, so the arc length. So I'm going to say, okay, the formula is the same. It's going to be that formula r theta. But the radius, it's just going to be, and I just want to clean this. Okay, it's just going to be 2r. And don't forget the angle. There is the angle alpha. Okay. Now, if I'm going to find, and now I'm looking for the total or the perimeter of the metal plate. Remember, the metal plate is this whole thing. So, perimeter of the metal plate. Okay, and I'm going to just add up everything. So I'm just going to take that one, so it's R, it's 2 pi minus that alpha plus that 2r alpha, but don't forget that also r and that's also r, so plus another 2r. Okay, because it's the distance around the figure. Okay, now I just simplify and see if I find like terms. So 2 pi r minus r alpha plus 2r alpha plus 2r. Now let's see the like terms. Do you see that this and this, they have the same variables? So if I simplify this, I will say 2 pi r plus r alpha plus 2r. And that's your final answer. And if they give marks, they will give marks if you come to that. And I think they will give marks if you find at the end this 2 there, and if you simplify and you got the final. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now they say, in the case where r is 5 and they say alpha is 0.8, find the area. Now it's area. So take note, it's now area, not perimeter. Now you know the formula for the area, but let's just say the angle, but now it's going to be, I have alpha, so don't forget, and I just want to start by saying the angle of the major sector, and that's going to be 2 pi, remember it's a round, but then just minus that 0.8, because I gave you now the angle, the alpha, it's 0.8. Okay, now if I want to find the area, it's actually not so difficult, because area is usually, sometimes people don't struggle so much with it. So the area of the, let's start, the area, and we can again say unshaded, area of major sector, and now don't forget the formula. Look on the formula sheet of, and I showed you, and it's theta. So it's half, and it's just r, but I have r, remember, it's 5, and I have theta. So don't forget, it's 2 pi minus 0.8. Sorry, I go in that line, but I don't think my pen is a bit bigger, but try not to go into that line. Now, you can calculate it on the calculators, because you have to say 2 multiply pi minus 0.8 multiply 5 multiply 5 multiply. So let's just make it at least to 4 significant figures. Okay, now I'm going to find the shaded. So I'm going to now find this area. So shaded. And I'm going to find the area of the minor. You see, it's a bit the smaller part, minor sector. And it's still going to be half r squared theta. Okay, and this is just going to be, I'm just going to go a little bit in. So let's just write the half first. And it's going to be 10. Why is it 10? Remember, that's 5 plus 5, so in total that will be 10. So please don't make that mistake to think it's only 5. Don't forget the square. There's the square. And then the angle is just 0.8. And if you press that on the calculator, you will get on the dot 40. And now I will just end by saying total area of metal plate, and that's going to be 68.54 plus the 40, and I can approximate to 3 significant figures. And if I do that, okay, first I will, okay, let's first say on my calculations, I will get 108.5 0.539, but correct to 3 significant figures is 109, and that's a unit square, and that is correct to 3 significant figures. Did they say anything? If they don't say anything, you go on the general rule. So I think this was very straightforward, but I think because of the in terms of that made it a bit more difficult, especially the first part. And please also don't forget that this is in radians. So if you have to find the angle, you have to work with 2 pi minus that angle if you want to find that angle. And that's how you do it.